Dreams are reality, or dreams
No,
or
no.
reality.
Well, no, it's just the way it's phrased: dreams or reality.
Are or reality.
Are we also doing a Tavern
But
Tales
it's not.
tonight?
Are we doing Tavern Tales today?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
That's a good question.
I know that I'm gonna go to bed after the talk show.
I know that we are.
You know what else is exciting?
Hello and welcome to the Villains Talk Show.
Many things are exciting.
No,
All the
mostly
things
hats.
that are exciting.
Hats would be
Here.
very exciting.
Cats are exciting.
No, hats.
Ooh,
So are cats.
So exciting. I love cats.
Cats and
Alright.
bats are even better.
we're good.
Cats and bats are
Cat-
pretty
the
good
cat-
too.
The cat and the hat.
Ooh. Cats and hats
Just
eating
think.
rats and bats.
Just think, like a big old cat with a hat with a baseball bat eating a child.
Man, so many things rhyme.
Yeah, that sounds like
It's
something they would
amazing.
do.
Good,
It's
good,
great.
good. Internet connection is caught up. I think we're all
Definitely not
gravy.
an actual thing from a very beloved child or children's movie.
Hello and welcome
That's horrifying.
to the Villains Talk Show and podcast. I am one of your hosts, C4. Beside me
Are
is
you?
Sarah Vike. Beside her is
I thought I was
Insaniac.
C4.
Below us is the Great Grease Goblin. And across from us is Sir Jeremy. And today's Wednesday. And
It is.
hopefully the stream is coming out well. It looks like it's lagging. I'm trying to do the magical thing where I stream on YouTube as well. But I can't tell. I can't tell how it's coming out. So if you're in the chat, let me know if it's laggy and I will just scrap the YouTube thing. Because I'm trying, right?
Too.
Seems alright.
I haven't answered yet.
I haven't listened, so don't accept my
checking the
answer as
YouTube
anything
base.
other than a random number.
I'm checking the Twitch.
Well, I hope things kind of work out.
YouTube is very quiet.
YouTube is quiet?
Yeah, YouTube is quiet, but Twitch is fine.
Okay.
Twitch is actually pretty loud.
That's hilarious. That's actually
You're
hilarious.
And I'm actually checking both. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Which is fine.
So we are the Villains Talk Show podcast, and today is Wednesday night. So I'm going to assume, since the audio is good, you're not really here to watch us. You're here to listen to us. So hopefully
Oh, I
that,
thought they were here to watch us.
that smooths out over time.
But
Well,
why do I even have a
Sometimes
face?
people watch us.
I might as well
Right?
just cut it off.
So gorgeous, Sarah. The only people who don't see you are those listening on the podcast, which you can listen to previous episodes anywhere you
If
get
really wanna see our
podcasts.
lovely faces, come check us out on Twitch.
But anywhere you get podcasts, you can
Don't
listen to
watch
old
it.
episodes or check us on Twitch. Yeah,
And
hopefully
if you want to
YouTube.
do a podcast of your own, we do our podcast through BuzzFeed. Yeah, be sure to check them out if you're really interested. You can start up then it's free. Pretty easy.
Sprout.
And we got
Not-
it set up.
not
pretty
BuzzFeed.
good.
Yeah, it's not BuzzFeed.
Yeah,
It's
no, not
Buzzsprout.
BuzzFeed.
Man,
It's
I'm
Buzzsprout.
so sorry. I shot the bed on that one.
We have no
Very
affiliation.
You
with
definitely
BuzzFeed.
shot
Yeah,
the
not
bed.
BuzzFeed. Buzzsprout.
Buzzsprout.
Yeah, shot the bed.
Buzzsprout.
Buzzsprout.
That
I
being
know
said,
things and stuff.
as you can see at the bottom, today's topic, or read if you're here, today's topic
I'd
is
also like to say quickly thanks to For the Wheel for being our wonderful.
oh, that's right, our only patron, For the Wheel.
We love you
Yeah.
so much.
Thank
If you
you.
wanna
You're
become
the
a
one
patron,
that's
feel free
that's
to support.
hopefully
You don't have to, but we appreciate it so much. If you do, we will shout you out every time we start the stream. I always remember.
Until we get more.
And, we will. It comes with a number of different benefits, wonderful things. First, coming for interviews and choices and things like that, being part of the talk show and Tavern Tales and all this wonderful things. So yeah, if you want to, feel free to check out the link below. Don't have to, but if you want to, we appreciate you so much. Thank you.
yeah nonsense. Recently, and I pointed Insaniac to this article that MIT has come up with a dream machine that actually like maps your dreams and turns it and records them visually, so you can actually
I
re-record your
didn't know
dreams,
that. I didn't know it was the way that they were processing this,
which is insane.
which is pretty cool. Which is pretty cool. It's great to know they're advancing that technology every day and coming up with new great things with it.
And on the other hand, there's people that swear that dreams are more real than reality. So like, dreams are an interesting topic. Also, some people who may or may not be in this group think that their dreams can be premonitions. And so we're gonna have fun today with dreams. That elusive thing that we chase in sleep.
if you're not familiar with some of them, now you might be learning.
Just like Sir Jeremy.
So elusive. Just like
Always
getting sleep
elusive.
sometimes. Some people can't even get
And we
sleep.
always chase him in our dreams.
That's
We
creepy.
always chase them in our dreams.
How do you feel about that, Sir Jeremy? The fact that apparently we're all dreaming about you.
That way, I'm not dreaming.
Yeah.
We're all feeling your dreams.
It's actually
Yeah, I think
Inception.
we're busted, guys. I think we're busted. Oh, shit. Man.
Stealing my dreams. It's not helping.
We've been doing Inception this whole time, stealing not just stealing your dreams, but your
Yeah.
life.
I'm so sorry, man.
Yeah.
So I might as well start with this topic because I'll be honest. What you're about to hear is nuts, but I don't give a shit. So I have dream journals from back when I was like, I think the earliest one. If I go back, I was actually looking at them recently, which is what made me think of the topic. My earliest one is 12 years old. And ever since I was 12 years old, I have basically had what I call a dreamscape. So it's like this entire, we'll call it an island for now, that I've completely mapped out in my dreams. And through all my years in dreaming, 99% of my dreams always take place in this giant area. And there's multiple sections, multiple biomes, as you could call them. And I have full details on them in my books. And in my dreams, I can visit these places. And they're always there. They're always in the same location. And there are structures there that don't move. And it's very sedimentary. And so when I dream, it's very interesting because I can literally go in my dream and, well, as I'm dreaming, and in my dream I can remember places in my dream that I've actually been to. And then when I write it out in my dream journal the next day, I can look back and eventually I'll find it and be like, yep, been here, map this out. Oh, that was in this section. Oh, that's cool. And that's always been my interaction with dreams. I mean, on the most rational level, I considered it basically a network of my psyche and how my psyche works. And maybe when I dream, it's just a way that I visit different memories or different feelings that I have. But at the same time, it's just an interesting thing I've brought forward to a few people, and especially like a therapist that I go to. I brought her all my dream journals. And she just looked at them and she just goes, that this is insane. It's all one area. I'm like, yep, it's pretty much.
I've never experienced quite to the level of what you are talking about, but I certainly, when I was younger, there were two different houses that I used to visit in my dreams, and I know that neither of them are places I've ever been. One of them was, I can sort of see aspects of my parents' house and a couple of friends' houses in it. But the other one was this massive, massive mansion that was just all wood paneling. And I could wander around it for hours in my dreams. And it doesn't exist as far as I know. It's not a real place. There's nothing about it that reflects parts of my actual world. So that's always been interesting because I still, probably like 20 years later, still remember it very clearly. I still remember different rooms and different parts of that house, despite the fact that I know very well it's not a real place. So
Now, are
Are you
you
able to,
sure?
Have you been able to move around it, like to just freely explore it?
no.
It's just been
No.
in the context of certain things happening.
Yeah, and it's been a very long time since I dreamt about it.
That's interesting though.
Hmm.
Because something from like my experience a little bit. I've had growing up had a number of different series of weird dreams growing up, which leads to a lot of time kind of trying to understand what that means, and I've learned how to interpret my dreams and look into dream interpretation and sense and understanding how to identify a dream, how to identify nightmares, how to identify what types of dreaming and things like that, or something that I've deeply looked into learning and seeing what maybe different signs of what dreams are to what could be meaning to you in a sense. A lot of a lot of kind of like I guess research I've kind of looked into in my own like time. Um, I've learned that a lot of that dreams are usually it's a connection with your kind of your subconscious mind. Sometimes you can kind of get it's at least that's the most tangible thing that people can kind of connect with on a scientific basis. Is that you're connecting to parts of your brain that you wouldn't have access to while you're awake, and it allows you to kind of receive information or see things that you wouldn't normally see, or it, receive kind of I don't know a number of different things. And so it's very interesting to see some of these kind of aspects because when C4 was talking about the dream machine that they're hoping to kind of build, it kind of takes a lot of that measurement of your brain, the way they used to do it was it used to measure the brain the electrical activity and brainwaves in your mind in your brain, and it would essentially make a map and a picture of the things. But now they've, from what C4 was telling me a bit earlier, they've moved to reading essentially the movements of your eyes and being able to record essentially a reflection, and are able to record that and then register it as a playback for you, which is amazing. That's super huge and super cool because the entire time that you're sleeping, your mind and your body is is still active. You're just not really physically doing anything, you know. And there's a lot of concept of what people kind of believe, kind of in dreaming, and you know, there's a sense of religious meaning of what happens when you dream. There's also psychological or philosophical and spiritual meanings of what it means when you dream. People talk about what's called lucid dreaming, which means essentially kind of forcing yourself to dream to essentially have essentially a measure of control over the dream, and being able to do so comes with a level of like self-awareness when you're in a dream, being able to identify qualities that you wouldn't normally have in reality, obviously. And with that, you essentially start being able to tear down certain walls and realize you're setting the rules, and you can start creating your own dreams if you want, readjusting different things, and at least this is the way that I've kind of experienced it, sort of sense, and I've know a number of people have kind of had that aspect, and it leads to the state of lucid dreaming, and being able to quite literally build your own universe and do whatever you want in your dream, and you know, make your own dreamscape essentially, the way
Yeah.
you know C4 has kind of talked about. So it's really interesting that the one thing I really liked, and I was talking about with C4 is I liked exploring the what that dreamscape kind of was a bit, because it is a sense a state of lucid dreaming to be able to make a dreamscape in a sense. And then another level of what people would describe another dreamscape is astral projection, which people kind of describe as leaving your body. But another way you could kind of describing it is reaching a place where you're sharing the dreamscape of the entire planet. So you're able to travel to essentially people's dreams in France and in India and all these places, and it literally is the entire planet. You're visiting these places, but it's in while you're dreaming, and where the entire planet has made this huge dreamscape passively, subconsciously, as they dream. Because when you're sleeping, you understand your area where you are, you know, all the safety and non-safe things that are around you as a being of you know, needing to survive on this planet. You understand, you know, maybe there's electrical hazards over here that I have my fire alarm or things like this, right? You register these things subconsciously too, so that way, you know, if these things happen, you wake up. So in your dreams, you build this kind of network in your mind of where your, you know, where you're sleeping, where your door is, where
But
everything around you kind of is.
there's also like that Scottish woman, that really famous story of like some lady in the United States that had these vivid dreams about this woman in Scotland or someplace, and I think it was Scotland, and this castle, and she goes there and it's actually a real place, and the woman she's dreaming of is actually a real person from the past.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that's
there's
something
always
that's
that.
really-
There's always the
There's- yeah,
possibility.
That's absolutely true too, and that's something that another kind of level of dream interpretation that some people experience and not everyone. And I've kind of talked about it a bit in previous talk show things. Is experiences of the past or past lives and things like that. Sometimes people will see things from like they'll talk to spirits or they'll things like that. They'll see buildings and castles or trees and stuff that weren't originally there when they're dreaming, and you can interact with these things because they were there in a previous time and you're experiencing essentially a past of what that is, so you can fully interact with all this stuff because it used to totally exist, right? And people were living in this moment, and you can visit a spirit that lives in this moment, and that depends on how you kind of believe in your interaction. What is a safe interaction with the spirit, what isn't? You know, some people would ward against it, and I would definitely say if you are interacting with those things, definitely be safe. If you're not comfortable and you do not know how to protect yourself against certain stuff like that, I would recommend against it.
If you
Because
believe in
could do
that
things-
stuff.
you could do things to hurt yourself if you believe in that.
If
stuff,
you
and
believe in
it's-
that, I mean, like
I'm
there's
just
there's a
putting for the
huge
people
there's a
that do
huge
and
argument
don't-
that it's all psychological, and that the stuff that happens to them
Absolutely.
from this magical shit is just
Absolutely, but I'm putting this out there for the people that do and might not have information. Just if you are unsure about it, take the time to learn more knowledge.
if you
and
believe in
research
it.
before, if like I said, if take the time to understand it a bit more, because if you don't, you could really hurt yourself or other people. It's best to practice whatever your beliefs are in a safe space and a safe environment where you're not hurting others, and you can feel
Yeah.
comfortable.
I sort of ran into a problem with that this summer where someone who I care about a lot who has researched topics like astral projection and stuff was just trying to explain them to some other younger people, and he didn't necessarily do the best job, and we
Probably not,
were
yeah.
without internet, so no one else could look it up, and it got a little dicey.
Oh yeah, the person that was praising the Satans. I remember that person you were telling me.
Actually.
Supposedly, that's what your church said, and I mean,
Mostly.
who's gonna argue the
Who
church?
knows?
I mean, not really. Nobody knew about it except me
I mean,
and
either way.
this person's sister, actually.
Well, let's move our discussion to
it's
south of the border.
those levels of this is essentially you're interacting with levels of subconscious of your mind, so you have to be careful. You have to be safe. You don't want to hurt yourself. You don't want to do something that might actually be damaging. So take your time, do something, whatever you feel comfortable with. If you feel not scary, it's not approachable, take the time to maybe approach it a different time.
So, Greasy Boy,
Yes.
tell us what about the dreams of a young, supple 20-year-old.
That's the funny thing. The last dream I actively remember was around when I was like 10.
Wow.
After that, like, I remember it fully that in that dream I died.
Wait, do you have red hair?
And after that,
Do you have red hair? You do
Yes,
have red hair.
half
Do you have
his hair is
freckles?
red and
Sometimes.
half is black.
Do you have freckles too?
Dude, you work with
What
him.
is
You
happening
should,
right
you
now?
should know
What
this.
is
But
happening?
I've never taken a good look. Do you have red hair and freckles?
What is
I
happening
mean,
right now?
right now my hair is red.
Stop.
I have
What is
no idea what's
right now?
happening.
Nothing. Nothing.
What is this?
Nothing. Just a thought.
Quiet.
Are you
What is happening
Trying
right
to-
now?
call him a ginger?
I didn't say-
I know what he's
Sarah.
doing,
Sarah.
yeah. Stop.
Sarah. That is uncalled for.
I
have
don't know
all
why.
met my
I don't know why
husband
you're
and
drawing
his bright
attention
red
to.
hair.
I was
to
not.
all
I
this
was
for-
just simply asking
You were
a
you were quite-
question
that's drawing
about
attention.
his
That's drawing
about his natural beauty, and you
Then you
guys
already
just
knew about
immediately
it.
jumped to
He's
these
very beautiful.
vicious allegations.
We're making observations.
Please,
We haven't
please,
explained
Greasy Boy, continue amidst these horrid.
I'm honestly just confused at this point.
So yeah, after that dream, whenever I fall asleep, I just end up in like almost like a dreamscape, but not actually a dreamscape. If that makes sense.
No,
Not really, but continue.
not at all.
I would say I would
Not,
be
not even a
I
little.
just see
to describe
everything
the
around me
surroundings.
while I sleep, but I also can't at the same time.
I understand.
Like everything around you, as in the bookshelf behind you, like the real
Yeah.
things.
Yeah,
So this
everything
is,
and then
what I was
everything that
talking
isn't
about.
there too.
This is what I was talking about.
Oh.
That
Yeah.
that you make a your subconscious makes essentially a map around you of everything around you while you're sleeping.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
It really does.
It really does. It keeps you aware of dangers and threats and alarms. It's something every.
Have you ever woken
I
up to
have
some
books
noise
and
knowing
books.
where your door is?
What?
That's 'cause you have a dreamscape.
Yes.
Yeah, have you ever woken up to a sudden noise or something and known exactly where your door is?
Yes.
Part of that is your
or
subconscious.
woken up in the middle of the night, having to go to the bathroom, and you make it to the dark.
And you make
Yeah.
it to the
Yeah.
darkness, exactly.
That's different. When I need to go to the bathroom, that's
That's
a no. That's a no. That's a no accident situation. That's completely different.
That's what that's what
Exactly.
I'm talking more-
Exactly. That's your subconscious being like, "Here's the map of your house. You're
Yeah.
welcome."
Yeah.
I'm talking more
Oh,
about
yeah,
like
right, just things, right?
when you say
Whether you know it or not, your subconscious does it.
when you
That's the
say
whole
you
point
hear
of
a
it being
noise, like
subconscious.
my eyes will flash open, but I won't be directly aware my door is. I'll be aware of where the noise came from, whether it was above me, below me.
You're telling me when you wake up, you don't know what's around you. You don't know your bed is underneath you. You don't know your.
I mean, of course I do, but there's sometimes I don't.
Of course you do.
Sometimes I
That's
don't.
normal too.
Sometimes I do
That's
wake
normal.
up and I'm like, I do wake up and I look around and I have to take a second to realize I'm in my
I
bed.
think that's. I honestly think that's because you have a dreamscape in a sense. Where what Grease Goblin is describing, he doesn't have one. In a sense, he's attached to. He's describing what is astral projection, but he hasn't figured out how to project.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sounds more like he's describing like how a warforged sleeps.
How what? You kind of cut out
A warforged in D&D.
Does anyone else?
I guess kind of yeah.
Totally.
Does anyone
I'm
else
pretty sure
imagine?
that he's a human.
Does anyone else
That's a good
imagine
question.
like a deprivation
His
chamber as
body
his
just
bed?
shuts down. Like,
Well, that's something that people would describe to I can't remember the word. but
there's a
fear
thing for that,
nightmare,
yeah.
where you feel locked down in that sense, and you feel the weight of like demons.
Sleep
or shadows or
paralysis?
things.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
sleep paralysis
Yeah.
essentially.
I've experienced sleep
And
paralysis.
Ooh,
Yeah.
it sounds terrifying.
And
I'm
that's
glad
So
you
have
guys-
I.
That
It
is.
sucked.
I've experienced
But
sleep.
in a way, I've experienced too. In a way, it helps you kind of face your fears you got to deal with to get through life. You know, these are things that aren't really there, and nothing's gonna hurt you. You're just sleeping.
Unless
right?
they are.
So, and it's just.
I
has to
mean,
come to the self-awareness.
unless
This
religion
a-
is
this a
right,
projection
and there
in
are
your mind.
demons that are reaching for your soul while you sleep, and something's
Though we
actually
can
Yeah.
tangibly
that's-
measure that this is a projection in your mind.
no. But there's
Well, I'm saying,
actually
yes.
people like we have
This is scientific
documented
evidence.
cases of. I mean, I hate
yeah,
to
that's-
take this side, but there are documented cases of
I agree.
exorcists
Of
who
people saying
have.
that, like,
And this is what I was saying. This is communicating with spirits, and you have to be safe.
well,
with
there's documented cases of people experiencing sleep paralysis too, experiencing figures sitting on them or over them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the sense of that's also a thing that you have to come to realize is when you're sleeping and you are in this astral sense around you, you will see spirits. They're not there.
But it's
innately
not an
above you.
astral sense though. It's you locked inside your body, right?
It is. You're right.
It would be the reverse of an
But,
astral
but what I
experience.
mean is that even if you
You're
left your
trapped.
body, you still would see these things,
The magic.
right?
Would you? Would you
It's-
though?
And if
Yes.
you
Because
left
it's like
your body, you
experiencing
still would
the-
see
As
Yeah.
someone
them.
that's experienced these things, absolutely yes, I've experienced both of them.
Well, the only thing I can say for sure that I have experienced in dreams, that I have also documentation about because I do take dream journals, is the few times where I've actually dreamed the future. Now, don't
Yes.
everyone get up all in my ass about this. What I mean by that is
I like-
it's always something mundane. Drawing a picture.
Yeah.
Sitting
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Going into a room and turning on a light switch. I kid you not, it's something stupidly mundane like that. In my dream, I'm like, what the fuck is this place? What am I doing here? I wake up, I have the full image of it, and then I write it down, and usually between 3 and 6 months later, I have deja vu, and I look at my dream journal, and there it is. And I'm like, well,
Is
okay.
it causation or correlation?
See, now that's
It
the
can be
problem.
both.
Is
It
it's
can be both.
you're right. It there's not enough to draw causation. But if you could just say it's just correlated, or maybe just because the dream was so vague, because I don't have a full recollection of it because I was asleep, that I automatically fill in the blanks once I walk into a room. That's also something the mind does. So I mean, you're technically right, but like it's happened enough times, and there's one time where I was telling Insaniac about this earlier. I used to have this ivory necklace. It was made out of bone. It was my favorite necklace. And one time I dreamed I broke it. Like I dropped it in my apartment at the time's bathroom. So when I dreamt that, I immediately stopped wearing it in the bathroom. It never went to the bathroom with me. About 2 months later, I dreamt that I dropped it on the way to work. So I stopped wearing it to work. And then one day I dreamt that I pulled it out of my drawer and it broke in my hand. And the next morning, I open my drawer to look at it. It's sitting on its little pillow, and I'm like, okay, it's fine. I pick it up to look at it, it snaps in my hand. And I'm like, fuck you.
That next Ooh.
Fuck you is was.
Wow.
But
there's
So,
a matter of
I
there's a lot of
have
people like
lots
that's just
of
speculation.
dreams. I have lots of dreams like that are just like like quick little snapshots of something that then happens later. But unlike yours, mine are specific. Mine are really specific. I will dream like that I'm sending a like this one actually happened last week. I had dreamt a few months ago that I was sending a very specific text to a very specific person and it was something that was really out of the norm. I was unhappy with this person and that wasn't something that I had expected to be when I dreamed it. And I found myself sitting on my couch in the exact same spot where I hardly ever sit and sending this exact same text and went, oh, I knew this was going to happen. Okay, then. And that kind of thing has happened to me a lot. Meeting people randomly in grocery stores, I dream about that a lot too, and then it'll happen. So
the ultimate devil.
it's not ever anything important, but
That's so funny.
That is pretty good, actually.
I've had quite a few of them. I haven't had anything quite very specific. A lot of it has just been kind of random in a sense. Like I've had randomly I was like packing from like moving somewhere, and it was like before I had ever actually really moved. Like, and then my family completely had to move across Canada when I was a kid, and I was like in the moment of unpacking, and I'm like, holy fuck, I had a dream of this. And I've had a series of them throughout my life as I've grown. For me, and it just depends on a series of kind of beliefs. But I feel like it's in a sense, I kind of have a belief that before we've kind of become who we are, we kind of choose the path we're going. And for me, it feels like these are essentially reminders for me that, or this is my belief that I'm still going the direction that I should be going. When I get this moment, I'm like, okay, good. I'm still going where I'm planning to go. So it's like mental reassurance that when I'm where I am is where I'm supposed to be.
that's good. You want to know
That's kind of the way that I've kind of rationalized it.
the coolest one that I've ever had, though? I actually said this one out loud in my sleep. When I was in high school, we went on a trip with the school, like with all the grade 11 students, to Guatemala. And one of the things that we did down there, we were split into two different groups because there were like 50 of us. But one of the things we did down there was we went into this giant sinkhole that was used for a lot of religious rituals and stuff, just to kind of see what it was about. And my group went down there one day and we kind of looked around and we left. And that night I wasn't feeling great, so I went to bed early. And when I woke up the next morning, the people staying in my room with me told me that I had said, I talk a lot in my sleep, so they said that normally I had been muttering, but then suddenly I sat up and said very clearly, I wrote this down, there's nothing like sitting on the edge waiting for the rocks to fall on you. That day, the second
That's very
group went to this
specific.
giant sinkhole, and while they were there, someone was sitting on the edge, and there was an earthquake, because those happen daily in Guatemala, and a bunch of giant boulders fell down and actually almost hit some of them. So I thought that was kind of neat.
Yeah, it's wild. That's where like that's like I said, it's a connection with your subconscious. I feel like.
Yeah.
It's all I can play before we get copyrighted. So.
For me, that
So you
mental
caused
belief
an
is
earthquake.
no, not at all. She was present for one. and her,
There were
or
lots of
her
earthquakes.
new-
Like I
At
said,
least,
like I
daily.
said, for
There's an
me,
average
my
for
belief on it
earthquakes
is that she was just present for one, and her subconscious knew it was going to happen.
Yeah,
And she was just there for it.
What?
maybe.
So what I'm hearing is Sarah caused an earthquake.
What?
Probably. I almost
Not
killed
at
one of my
all.
classmates.
Do it
Her
again.
subconscious knew it was gonna happen.
Yeah, but it also knew that she was going to survive.
Whoa.
No, I'm not letting you get away with that one. Your
Well,
subconscious.
I wasn't there.
That's fine. You don't have to believe me. I told you this is my belief.
But like,
I'm
wouldn't
not.
wouldn't it make more sense? Like, at least if I was going to defend that belief, wouldn't it make more sense to say at least like her like, oh, what's the name of the reptile core of her brain just knew something was gonna happen, like her danger sense. That
Yeah.
thing that
There was an
you could
earthquake
say
like
the
that.
animalistic part of her had
Tinkle.
taken over. Is that what, like, I would call that more
When-
than subconscious.
When you're on it, and again, this is a matter of belief, but when you're on a
Mhm.
planet that shifts the planet has shown to shift on a certain regular basis from what scientists have measured. If you really have the idea of the belief is, in my mind, is that you've been here to plan that out, that you sit here to know the rotation of the planet, that your mind is subconsciously going to be aware of these things.
I want to see that study. I want to see these.
I didn't say it's a study.
Right.
I want
I
to
don't
read
understand
these
what you're
scientists.
trying to say right
being
now,
measured.
Andrew.
Yeah, the
I
scientists
don't-
scientists measure that the planet does shift on a rotating
But,
cycle.
like,
I
what
don't quite
scientists?
exactly remember?
What do you mean it
There-
shift?
I don't. Like the planets, like the tectonic shifts, the plates shift. There's earthquakes in certain areas. Sometimes volcanoes are created, and that
Yeah,
creates
yeah,
more
yeah.
landmass.
Okay, so
Okay, but
These and these
those
shifts
cycles
happen
would be-
happen on a cycle every certain 100 million years.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Those cycles would be massive amounts of time, far more than a human
Absolutely.
body could measure.
but
This
no.
is-
Okay,
this is-
okay.
This is the theory that they're working with.
So, I know what you're talking about. It's the idea that there's a vibration that each continent makes because each plate is different, and each animal on each plate can feel the deep vibrations or something, and that's how they know that when a volcano is coming to clear out an area. But that's still a built-in danger sense. I wouldn't say that's subconscious.
So
Like
I'm
I
saying
hear what
is
you're
it's a
saying.
It's a lot more deep than what I'm trying to explain, and I don't really want to go too deep into detail because it's based on personal belief, and I'm not going to sit here and try to persuade it because I don't have science to prove it.
No. And I understand that. I'm just trying to tease it out a bit more than just say scientists, because I
Yeah.
wanted to know where it was
It's-
based from. But that
No,
being said,
I understand. Just saying it for me. I believe that your mind is a lot more aware
Mhm.
of things than we could ever comprehend in a lot of sense.
mhm.
Yeah,
So
I would agree with you there.
then comes the age-old question, because most of us, if not all of us, have pets. Looking down at you, Reese Goblin. We need to get you like a goldfish.
2 pets.
I need to.
You have 2
Those
pets?
cats-
Yeah, Sarah's seen the 2 cats.
Yeah, they're adorable.
He has cats?
Sweet. One of them looks a lot like your Jeremy's cat.
I feel like he would do better with a goldfish. That being said,
2 cats
Um,
in the apartment here.
animals also dream.
Yeah, they do.
And I've
I
seen
watched my dog dream.
my sister, actually, because my sister loves her dog. It's as much as I'll say on that. She loves her dog, like, utterly. She has sent me stuff about dreaming animals and what it means. And, like, there's a lot of studies on dreaming animals. And it makes me wonder, because, like, my first thought, as horrible as it is when you look at something like dreams and see that there's way more data, we'll say, on animals dreaming than there is people dreaming. At first, it's like,
That's-
okay,
That's because people have been measuring animals a lot longer.
yeah, but it also makes you think, like, it may not have been, exactly procured in the most
They definitely didn't start at the same time.
They're
They definitely
def-
probably started at least a couple hundred years separate from each
a couple. No, that's a huge gap. I would say at least 20 years difference.
other. Okay, maybe. Okay, I'd say. Okay,
There'd be
I'd
no
give it 100.
there'd be no reason for good old 1700s Joe from a ship.
No, you're but I'd say at least 100 years.
Oh, that'd be fucking scary. That's like mad scientist level. I'm going to
We
die.
don't even, and I literally feel like the things that we already do learn about the brain and learning about what the dreams are things are capable of doing is like I feel like it's just literally.
But we don't. We don't learn anything, especially as kids. Like, I can tell you how many times. I mean, everything you learn, you either learn either you're self-taught, or it's because you're taking that exact field. Because they don't teach you anything about the brain. They don't. Like, unless you're going into psychology or sociology or even like literal brain biology.
This is where like you can also take that level of where religion kind of comes in, where some religions do teach you a level of kind of self-discipline and learning to explore your dreams a bit more as a self-journey in a sense.
Yes,
So
but the two religions I know
give you
that
a bit of a
the two religions I know that explore dreams, at least the ones that I know well. I'm not going to speak towards Hinduism or any of the Eastern religions, but I do know.
I know it was a very
I do know-
a very Native American thing.
I do know Kabbalah and Islam very well, and I do know that there is mysticism and there is exploring dreams and the power and magic of moving energy through sound and color.
Native Americans,
But-
they're very deep in that.
They specifically
ceremonies are going through dreams.
both religions will tell you that they do not teach you anything about that until you are at least 40, you have had a family, and you're stable economically. Because if you don't check all those
how to master your dreams, you can't be 40 and have a successful family. That's kind of funny.
No, you have to be. You
I
have
know.
to. You
I
have to
just
be
think that's
40.
kind of
You have to be 40, successful, and have a family. The reason is, at least in Kabbalah, is the rabbis will tell you because you can't have any wants. You can't go in with the want of something, of power, of money, of something. You have to have lived a full enough life that you have achieved in your life at least what it is, and what you're learning is simply to supplement your life as you get older and pass on the traditions. It's one of the coolest thing about Kabbalah. It prevents corruption.
That's an interesting outlook. I'm not sure I would 100% subscribe to that, but I do like the idea of it.
Well, there are
It's
examples.
a good place to start, I would say, in the way of interpreting your dreams. I just don't like that it sets a regular tone of like you have to be 40 years old to. Until you're then, you have to suffer through your dreams and not understand how to explore that.
Well, you can go to a
That's
rabbi and tell them about your dreams, and they will let you know.
I guess.
Like they will interpret your dreams for you, but they will never give you the means to do it. They will never teach you
That's
how
still
to.
like.
It's the idea
like-
that you don't want. They don't want
That's-
you.
It's like keeping the blinders on a horse and not letting them decide where to go.
But it's also control. Like you don't want this kind of thing.
That's
If
exactly what I'm saying.
if magic was a real thing and it was more
That's a lot of
prevalent
control.
today, then you wouldn't want that kind of thing going into some teenager's hands, who then
Yeah,
waves
I was
his
gonna say,
wand
That's-
around
that's
with
the
his
reason-
friends
that's
and
the reason
fights
it's not-
giant dark wizards.
That's
yeah,
why
it's
it's
he
saying
likes
he
to wave his
comparing
wand
it to
around.
blinders on a horse, but I would
Because it's
compare
not-
it to giving a toddler a lighter. Like, you don't want to give a kid something that's going to harm them. They're saying,
Yeah,
until
but
this
the
point,
idea is-
we're worried that you're not old enough and mature enough to handle this.
there's a
I
point where
agree.
You have to let the birds fly and attempt it.
Yeah, when you're
So,
40,
instead of being
that's when the bird
that's-
gets to fly.
that's a very strict that's
No.
that's
40
Birds get pushed out of the
40,
nest.
have a
That's-
family,
that's-
and have a
that's
stable
quite
job.
literally half of your life at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the point.
That's incredible.
The
That
idea is that
obscenely
you-
ridiculous.
Well, because
I figured all of this out by the time I was 15
but
on my own.
Yeah, but you didn't
Good for
necessarily
you.
figure out the same things that John is talking about either. There, it's entirely possible
That's
that there's
highly
other
debatable.
stuff
If you
involved.
let's say this kind of thing was real and Kabbalah and
I have
Islam
someone who does
mysticism was
research magic.
all powerful, and you learned it at your age, who's to say that 5 years from now you didn't get fed up with things and you just wanted a family? It's you use your magic now to cast yourself, maybe make someone fall in love with you. All of a sudden you are using it in a bad way that's not intended, because it's not intended to be
Yeah.
used. That's the whole reason. That's what Kabbalah and I forget what it's called, the Islam version I'm thinking of, but there's an actual name for it. But the idea is you can't. They don't want the temptation. They don't want you to be tempted to
I
use it.
understand that.
It's not about using it. Just because I teach you a spell, or you're not supposed to use it. You're just supposed
I
to
get
share
that.
it
And
to someone else.
what I've learned in my attempts, and I do have the books that I've gone through that describe the attempts of what is essentially it's a book that was made by a medieval by an Arabic wizard that was translated by the Spanish king and was brought to some kind of like updated model. I don't quite remember the whole.
The
So
Grodia
I have
or the Grotia?
no. It's called the Pictures.
Is that a
the
real
other
book?
way is
I've
you
never
call
heard of it.
Yes, it is. It's called in other sense. The main one is the main way it's called. There's since it's a number breakdown of 3 books called Liber Altus, Liber something else. There's 3 of them, and one essentially it breaks down a description of magic. Let's see if I can find the link here so I can post it in chat, where I get them from.
Because the books I know, at least from what I studied in ancient magics and dreams, is obviously you have the Talmud, and you have what's it called? The Book of Tiberius.
Post in chats there. It's Renaissance astral magic, astrology magic. Main book's called Liber Aturatus, I think. I don't know if I pronounced that properly. The next one is called Liber Virtus, and the other one is called Liber Rufus. What essentially these books describe, and I'm going to give my very loose translation, and it's to. The book is written in a sense if you don't have an understanding of the concept of basic belief in magic, you will not understand these books. Like I stopped reading them because I knew I wasn't able to retain the knowledge that I was reading in the book. And there's a time where I'd like to be able to do that. The way that it describes is essentially the aspect of magic is essentially you're not creating anything. You're essentially manipulating the energies that are already present in the universe during certain times of the year throughout the universe that you can calculate measure that have certain energies that are best represented on those days to essentially do certain things during that time that would have a better outcome. That is absolutely all it is. And it literally breaks down in the book a 365 day year, and it tells you the days based on when certain stars are in the sky. So that could be completely different from where you are. So it's hard to really understand because it was based on an Arabic wizard. Like I said, there's a lot of information in this book meant to not teach you if you're not aware of what is being taught. It's meant to throw it off so that way people who aren't fully aware aren't gonna fall into the hands. Like you said, it's not gonna. People who are going to use it for wrong and ill intent are gonna think it's fake and it's not gonna work. But what it really is just an understanding of what days of the year certain energies work best, and you essentially do certain things to help the activities you're doing those days have a better chance of going out in the result that you're hoping for. That is absolutely all it is. It's nothing super ridiculous or huge. You're not making things appear out of nowhere. You're just manipulating the energies of the universe during the times that they are best suited to achieve what you want. That's it. That's what magic is. That is the whole concept of magic, and that is all I've ever learned. You cannot do anything more than that.
Dude, I mean, I understand, but it's just a 400-page book on magic and astrology written by an astrologer in the middle of the 10th century and then translated. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but if you look at old Arabic works, there's books from the time of Muhammad where they talk about
I'm not
magic,
saying this is
and
this
and
is
same
the
with
one
the
and only.
Talmud. If you want to look up a cool book, look up the Grodia, Groetia.
I'm still learning about it.
ETIA. No. I hear
I
you.
did look up that one. You told me about that.
The
I'm just saying,
Grodia,
yeah.
and that's an old book from Roman times. There's also the Lesser Key of Solomon that's more recent, but you can look up.
I also have one that talks about occult, like Indian kind of magic, so mysticism and things like that. So this book is, by all means, this is what I've taken from learning of these books.
The Book
Now,
of
that doesn't mean
Tiberius
that's
too.
how it is in every culture and how it all works and how. Like I said, this is in the link. It says Renaissance astrology book.
Now, if we go into
So it's not.
if we can touch into this, maybe we'll actually talk about it fully next week. But just to cap
Yeah,
on this little talk we're having,
On the dreams.
when it comes to magic and dreaming, and I guess what we'll call mysticism, I've always believed in the mass of human psyche. I believe that energy is basically, since it is the fabric of the world and everything in quirks and quarks, that because every thought from every being creates energy. And if you have so much of a being like humans, or like any being, and we have certain thoughts and certain things that we imagine happening, especially if they're like thoughts, putting out that energy, as much as I hate to say it, the law of conservation of energy proves that it goes somewhere. And so we put out a certain energy and a certain frequency, and I think once that resonates on a global scale, all of a sudden coincidences happen, but on a magic scale. And to the point,
you're absolutely right.
and to the point where it can be perceived as magic, like something that would be astronomically impossible that seems magical in itself and must be perceived as magic. It's just because of our collective psyche that we have become accepted to this. And this is why magic is said to be better when it was older, because people had much more belief dedicated to the ability of the supernatural than there is now.
I want to add to that a little bit. Like, absolutely, I totally agree. And what I'm saying is the book ascribes essentially what you're saying, because you bringing your energy, people bringing forth is creating a form of energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of that. Imagine that with the guideline of what days do the best thing that you want, right? Imagine having these collective of people trying to do all these things, right? And that's how you get covens, or you get mass ritual prayers. That's why church is so huge. You're putting all this energy forth. It is a very real change of effects of energy, of wave and vibration that are happening at people. You know, there's a very tangible effect of what happens when everyone puts their mind together and achieves the same kind of thought. It does have huge effects in church, in the wilds. You have covens in cults. It's very, very true, and it's very it's very prominent. And the idea of what I'm explaining, these books explain essentially what days are best for that, and it does have good and bad days. So the idea in it is just you have to. It's meant so that way people can't use it in that sense. So that way people who are responsible and have that knowledge are using it properly. Because what you put into the one big concept and rule of magic is what you put into it comes back to you threefold. So if you do something negative, you're going to get hit back with something even more negative. It's that aspect of karma, right?
Oh, I'm never gonna unsee that. Yeah. No, you're right. Sorry, a comment just killed me because it's so true. I never realized that we were just evolution of a beards and a lady. It's so damn true. Oh, I'm never gonna unsee that now. Oh God.
Beards and the lady.
Thank God there's no beard on my neck. Thank God I have no neck beard. Oh, that's
I
good.
have enough of
That
it.
hurts.
It's a shin
I'm
strap.
disappointed in myself, quite frankly.
All right, keep it. You know what? You should have
lady
the
and the
thickest
beard.
beard of us all, Sarah. You should have the thickest
We're gonna-
beard of us all.
That's gonna be one of our
Break
one of
those
our,
gender biases. We're gonna start feeding
It's gonna be
you.
one of our t-shirt arts that we're working on. It's gonna be a lady with four of us all with different beards being all stacked on each top. Of each
The
other.
progression of that's genius. All right, let's end this. This topic on a question that I posed. Is the question.
It's the top.
one of the most famous and infamous psychologists of not our time, but of the before time, Mr. Freud
Which before time?
posed a year ago, many a decade, almost a century ago. Are dreams or reality was his exact question, and his backup to that was, we live more of our true selves in dreams. Does that make it more real? Basing it on the idea of, obviously, one of my favorite philosophers, Descartes, that your thoughts are truly the only thing that you know to be true. So based on this, when you live in a dream realm, or when you go to dreams or dream, supposedly you are actually in the most truest reality that you could possibly perceive, for which you have the most control. And I
like to say Insaniac's answer is yes.
Saniac's answer. I got.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What about down south of the border here?
Yes.
Oh my god. I'm so glad. Such vigorous ansers.
You're
I'm
welcome.
actually I'm saying this because I actually heard what you said and processed it. I'm saying yes because I'm actually saying yes.
Mm.
Not just
I'm
because
saying
it sounds.
yes, because I also agree.
Sarah and Jeremy, you also agree with this assumption by Mr. Freud.
Say it one more time.
So Freud
But I
famously said, dreams are or reality.
Yes.
To which he then described that dreams, by definition of Descartes, that our thoughts are the only thing that are true. Dreams are technically the most real thing we perceive as humans. Or are they even real? Because they only exist in our head.
Okay.
My answer's the first part.
Yeah, the first part. I got it.
Yeah.
I forgot to add the or part, but yeah, it's our or.
Yeah.
R or and I say yes.
Yes.
So it's-
I actually think that I agree with the whole thing because, yes, our dreams sort of reveal our thoughts and what's in our head, but at the same time, there is that question of, is there anything that is actually real to them? Like, sure, I can explore a giant mansion in my dreams, but that doesn't mean it's real, but it still shows what's happening in my head. So
you
think
creating that
I
mansion
mean,
is real.
if you feel
That's
something, it
great.
doesn't
And processing
make it
thought.
real.
Experience
And
makes it.
I've woken up like in pure abject terror from some of my dreams,
Oh
or
yeah.
in joy, or whatever. But like,
If you
that
believe
dream has
your
affected
brain
my
believes
morning.
it's true, it's you're experiencing. Right?
yeah.
That's tangible evidence right there. Your brain is.
Oh, man.
experiencing it. Must be
Yeah.
happening.
A couple weeks ago, I woke up in the middle of a dream that I had to write a chemistry exam, except I wasn't prepared for it. And then, because I work at the school I went to, first thing in the morning, I walk in and see my old chemistry teacher, who is now the principal, and just bad day.
Man, I never thought about that whole concept as a kid. That when you become a teacher, the nightmares you have as a student become your nightmares you have of work. That's terrifying.
I have.
Pretty much.
I want-
I never processed that till just now.
I want to end on one. I want to end on one more thing just before I add to that, Sarah. I still have dreams that I have nightmares that I have papers due.
I bet.
Even though I graduated,
do you
I still-
have nightmares that you go to work, that you go to school work without your pants on?
I was gonna say,
No.
who here, of the 5 here, and in the chat, if you're out there in the chat, you can chime in too. Who here has actually had a dream where they go to school or go to work butt ass naked or without their pants on? Because I will honestly say I have, and in my dream I just didn't care. I looked
Yeah,
down,
sounds
and funny enough, I even remember I was like, I looked down, I'm like, it's too late now.
Yeah, that sounds like you.
But
Probably the way
just
I
I want to
do it.
end on this. Did you guys ever actually like have those dreams where you were naked in front of people?
I don't think
No.
I had that one at school. I might have had a
I
different
can't
version.
remember if I did or not.
I had a dream about my teeth falling out once, and I had lots of dreams about flying, but never no pants.
That's cool.
Toothless Sarah.
Yeah, I've had lots of the flying.
Yeah.
Why can I see
It's
that?
apparently a fairly common one for stress is that you dream about your teeth falling out.
For some reason,
So
I
I
can
just had it
see
one
without
time.
teeth, and it is horrifying.
Great,
so
thanks.
weird.
I appreciate
That's
that
so
you
weird.
got
It
your
is, yeah.
envisioning right
Why?
now.
Anyway.
Are you happy? Happy, not peace.
Once again, I would like to thank our only patron for the wheel. If you liked the show, please like, share, subscribe on YouTube, or just follow us on Twitch. We are the Villains of the Villains Talk Show. Catch us anywhere you got podcasts. We will load up old episodes on the podcast now on the YouTube as well. I'm sorry you all had nothing better to do. There he is, our only patron. He's in the chat. I'm sorry you all had nothing better to do, but I'm glad you spent it with us here. I am C4 with Sarah V. Beside her is Insaniac. Below is Greasy Boy and the elusive gentleman himself, Sir Jeremy. And we are the Villains of the Villains Talk Show, and we will catch you
We
next
appreciate
time.
all of you.
Yay!
Wah.